Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
I've been doing this podcast since September of 2012, and boy, are my lips tired.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Woody Lynn is not available to do the show this week. As I mentioned last 2 weeks, she's been away doing her farming thing because she's a farm girl in Alberta. And she'll be joining us again next week, but we're joined by a farm boy from northeastern Oregon. So the farm is totally covered today. His name is Tim James. He is the creator of chemicalfreebody.com, which we're going to learn all about. But of course, we're going to start with a story because, as so often happens with the guests that we've had on the show here over the years, people, they are living their lives and then something goes wrong, and then there's trauma and there's tragedy and horrible things happen, and then there's a breakthrough and there's deliverance, and then all of a sudden they want to help people. Once again, that story playing out here today, here on LOA Today. His name is Tim James, and Tim, thank you for joining me on the program today. How you doing?
Hey, Walt, I'm doing awesome, man, and I'm really excited to be here, and my goal is always to get people inspired by, just simple things that actually worked in my life and worked in my students' lives so they can wake up and feel good, and be happy. That's what it boils down to. We should have pleasant lives.
Yeah.
Have a pleasant life. Why not?
Enjoying life, thriving in life, abundant life. That's what it's all about. So, all right. We always like to hear this. We love stories around here. Let's be perfectly honest. We love stories. So let's hear the story. How did you become Tim James, the health hero?
Well, I think it all started back here on the farm. I grew up. We did cattle and grass hay and alfalfa hay, and I was hunting and fishing a lot. I know, Walt, you don't fish because we talked about that.
Nope,
so I'll do the fishing. I did the fishing for you back then.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And grew up on the standard American diet, and everything was good. I actually played baseball at a high level for 30 years, and so I was an athlete. And then by the age of 37, though, I'd kind of settled into married, house, kids, mortgage, that kind of stuff. I was a financial advisor, and I'd gained 42 pounds. I had started having severe gastrointestinal issues, and I started eating Tums and Rolaids in the beginning, and then, all of a sudden eating them all day. And then all of a sudden mental fog came in, and then I started getting eczema on my left knee, which is kind of like a skin issue. Right. And that actually started getting bigger and thicker and cracking and bleeding, and then it spread to my elbows. And then, as a financial advisor, I couldn't even wear white shirts anymore because it would crack and bleed and stick to my shirts, and you could see it. So I switched to darker shirts. And then, my health kind of got worse. I had another skin issue on my shoulder bubble up, and then I started actually pooping blood. And this went on for about 2.5 years. So every time I'd have a stool, it was very painful. It was like imagine I'd go to the bathroom a couple times a day, and it would be like anxiety started creeping in because it was like, because it was like a 6 to 7 on a pain scale followed by blood. Right. Wow. So I'm bleeding rectally. I'm bleeding in my elbows. My knees are bleeding. This is like I'm bleeding daily. It's like just part of my life for years. And I went to the doctor and, got like medications, but like I just never took them because they had like weird side effects, and half the time I never even filled the prescription. And, I'm actually glad I didn't back then, but like one of the side effects one time was rectal bleeding. I'm like, that's what I have.
Yes. Doesn't that get you? I mean, it is.
Like,
I know this happens all the time, but there are so many medications where the medication list of possible side effects include the thing you're trying to treat. It's amazing how often that happens.
It was weird. So I'm just like, I had a little common sense growing up on the farm, but I really didn't understand it back then. So anyway, fast forward, I'm actually on a vacation with my wife. She was from Peru. Her dad was actually a medical doctor. He ran a big clinic down in Lima, Peru, big city, 18, 20 million people.
Yeah.
And we were in northern Peru in a place called Tumbes, just south of Ecuador. Beautiful. Right on the beach. I'm telling you, dude, it was remote. It was awesome. Even the seashells were so big and beautiful on the beach. They looked like they should have been in the Smithsonian. I mean, it was it was amazing. It was like,
we're talking pristine. Yeah.
It was wild. It was like wild. Yeah. And so there's only 9 villas. And then the main hut back there where there was like a bar and a pool table and all this stuff and a kitchen and a hangout area. So that's where everybody would go, and they would kind of take care of you. And you could actually go fishing and then come back. And then in the morning, this guy take you on a little boat on the coast, and you just catch fish. And then for lunch, you'd be eating your fish.
Yeah, right.
Like it was really cool. And so we actually went on a deep sea fishing trip, and all of a sudden I got sick. Now most people are like, oh, well, he had, deep sea sickness, the motion sickness. No, I've been out in the ocean tons of times. That wasn't it. It was different. And even the captain of the ship and her dad and everybody, oh, you're motion sickness. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm freaking, something's wrong with me. And then when we got back, he diagnosed me. He's like, oh, we have to get you to the hospital. You need surgery. You could die. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. So we jumped in the car, we drove down to the airport, and we missed the one plane flight out of that city by like 20 minutes. And there wasn't going to be another one for like 24 hours. Like, we can't wait. You could die. So we rented a van and we drove 6 hours down this bumpy road on the coastline.
Oh my God.
Of Peru to a town called Piura, where there was the nearest hospital 6 hours away. And, when I walked into that place, I'm on the examination table, Walt, and I'm looking up, and there's like tons of bugs flying around about in me.
Oh boy.
And all the instruments look like they're from the 50s and 60s. It was just a very poor area. I mean, it's just what it was. And I'm like, this isn't good. And he's like, they're all talking Spanish, and doctors kept coming in, push on my side, like, and it hurts. And they got it. And then the doctor come in, push on my side, that hurts. And they're all diagnosing me. I'm like, stop diagnosing me. Okay. You got it.
Yeah. Right.
And so, he had him dope me up, booked me a emergency. I basically got life flighted and nobody knew about it. I got on the next commercial flight out of there, and you shouldn't even do this. Like I could have died on the plane flight, and then flew into Lima, right into a taxi, and I went right in. He had called ahead and had the surgery in the OR all prepped up, ready for me, and I went right into surgery.
Wow.
And this is where Western medicine shines. It was born in crisis care. It was born in wartime.
Yes.
People get their arms blown off. They get shot. They get grenades, whatever. And you can save people's life. Car accidents, unbelievable, broken arms. Awesome. It's the chronic physical, the stuff like my gut issues and the rectal bleeding and the skin issues. It's a fail.
Right.
So here I am, back in the hospital. And I got a couple takeaways from this thing. Number one, I don't ever want to go into a hospital again for surgery. It was scary. My life was completely out of control.
Sure.
I learned later it was my food choices and the way I was living my life that caused my problem, but I didn't know. I was just doing what everybody else did. My mom and dad did. And the other thing I learned was my poor health doesn't affect just me. It affects everyone around me.
That's a good point.
My wife and I had spent a lot of money and time to plan that trip. Her dad had been a medical doctor, such a loving human being. Like this guy he's awesome. I love this guy. And he had all these clients patients that he was taking care of as a full-blown medical doctor, seeing patients on the daily, got promoted, ran this big clinic, and he was so nice, he still took care of the patients. So he's like doing two jobs, literally. So he hadn't had a vacation in 30 years, ever. He'd never had a vacation. This was his first vacation, and 4 or 5 days in the vacation, he's back in the hospital taking care of me. Because I, as a working class person, was never taught how to take care of myself. I was never taught that I was part of nature and that I was disconnected from nature. And that disconnect is what led to my suffering and my chronic issues. So after that, fast forward a little bit, a buddy of mine on my baseball team, died of stomach cancer. And we watched him go through, hospice and all that stuff and chemo and radiation surgery, but before that, and he ended up, dying 80 pounds under his weight. He was a very fit man. He's 40 years old, 6-pack abs, sons from ages 6 to 17. And we watched, Calais, pass away with no insurance. And so we did a fundraiser, and, us big, tough baseball guys are crying in church, and it was really hard. It was like, it's crazy. Like the guy's like our age, And then a little bit after that, but we kind of, it's like, okay, well, he was chewing tobacco, so it probably trickled down his throat and got in his stomach, and that kind of makes sense. It was kind of self-induced. We guessed. I don't know. So then after that, my healthy friend, the vegetarian Charles, got diagnosed with blood cancer. So supposedly some type of incurable blood cancer. And he comes up to me, and he's 43, and he's like, hey, Tim, I got this cancer, and, they don't really have anything for me because of my type of cancer. It's kind of wait and see. And he goes, and then they'll put me on some experimental drug. And he goes, I don't want to wait around. He's kind of an entrepreneur. And he's like, I want to take matters into my own hands. So I'm going to go to the place in Florida called the Hippocrates Wellness Center. And will you go with me to help me? They do like natural healing stuff. And I was like, dude, all I heard was, my friend's got cancer. Will you help? Yes, I'm in. I didn't even matter what it was. He could have told me we were going to the moon. I said, yeah, I'll do it. So January 1st, 2011, we flew to West Palm Beach from Oregon to where the institute was. And he was really smart because he didn't tell me what was actually going on there, and I'd be on the program too. So he's like, hey, by the way, because I'm the redneck that's shooting everything, and the elk and the deer meat and the chuckers and the pheasants and all that stuff. He goes, oh, by the way, when we get there, there's no meat, there's no dairy, there's no salt, there's no sugar, there's no vinegar, there's nothing cooked over 115 degrees. And I'm like, what? You know, he kind of lost me at the no meat deal.
Yeah.
So I'm literally freaking out. Well, I'm like, because I don't even like, how am I going to live without meat? But I'm thinking, well, they've been around 61 years at the time. I mean, yeah, I kind of did a little research on them. I mean, people go back. Actually, 80% of the people that go there return and go back again later.
Interesting.
And multiple times. And they drag their friends along that are sick too. So, and family members, they'll take families there for vacations. They heal up their whole family. It's crazy.
Wow.
So we end up going there, and I'm just like, Tim, put your fears aside. You're here. Your friend's got cancer, for God's sakes. And my experience with cancer was you get it and you're toast.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Calais had died of it. My grandma had died of glioblastoma brain cancer. My aunt had died of melanoma skin cancer that then spread to her lungs. My mother became the hospice worker for her. Like, taking care of people in this situation, angels, the people that are doing this, whether you're doing it at home or you're getting paid to do this as a hospice worker, this is the frontline stuff. It's amazing. So we, so I have all this happening. I'm there to help my friend. And the first few days wasn't fun. I started detoxing. I kind of had night sweats. It was kind of headachy. I had a little mental fog. I was very irritable. Irritable.
Well, sure, you go through all that. How could you not be?
Yeah, I basically went from the standard American diet to eating literally like sprouts and sprouted nuts and sprouted seeds. Everything's sprouted. Grains, beans.
Huge. It's a huge shift.
Like green juices, wheatgrass shots, drinking lots of water. And we started, exercising a little bit and doing all this stuff. And they said day 4 or 5, you're going to kind of wake up and feel amazing. And I was like, literally, I went to bed at like 8 p.m. on like Thursday night or something. I was like, please please wake up tomorrow. I do not want to go through another day of this. And I did. I woke up and I felt like I was reborn.
Wow.
I mean, literally, we did our little morning routine. We did our water with the lemon and the lime in it. Then we went and had wheatgrass shots. And we worked out. We had a green juice they had sprouts and cucumber and celery in it. We drank these big green juices. We went to the gym. We worked out. And we did our hot, cold plunges, the mineral pool, and infrared saunas. We had this little routine we did every morning. We were walking back to our little haciendas because it's like a 50-acre property with a bunch of houses and stuff on it. It's really cool. And I looked at Charles and I go, dude, do you feel as good as I do? He's like, yeah, I feel great. I said, dude, I feel like I'm 18 again.
Ooh.
And I was 37 at the time. And I'm like, I literally, my arms were tingling with energy. Like tingling. And I'm like, dude, I feel so good. I said, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but dude, you're going to heal. I know you're going to heal. The stuff because it's not just the food and the detoxing you're going through. It's actually a school. And you get 40 hours of education on like the human body and what's going on in society and nature. And it helps you kind of put it all together and use common sense. And then you feel so darn good. It doesn't really matter what anybody tells you. They can't take that experience away from you. Nobody could have taken away how I went through I got all the crap out from all the crappy things I'd done my whole life. That stuff was coming out through that detox. And then I woke up one day and 4 or 5 days later, I felt like a new person. Like, you can't take that away from me ever. And I knew it worked. And I said, dude, you're going to heal. And I said, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to give up all meat except for bacon. And we're going to go home.
I love that choice.
Yeah. And we're going to do this because I can probably do BLTs and avocado. I'm still in the meat thing. Well, it's funny because then I actually read the book called The China Study on the way home, and I decided to just do it. So I'm not bashing meat at all. And for those of you, don't shut your ears off if you're eating meat right now, because I was plant-based for 8.5 years. I was completely, for 5.5 years, I was like living fooder. It was all sprouted everything. And I totally transformed my health and all that stuff. In 60 days, I literally lost the 42 pounds, like literally. And
wow.
My friends, I was telling them in the beginning, like, Charles is going to heal the cancer. And they thought I'd like crazy. Like they
right.
thought I'd
lost. Oh yeah. Well, that
wasn't
their experience. Yeah.
No, but I knew, I knew, I'd seen it. And I talked to multiple people there that had cancer. Like this one lady had breast cancer and she had like, something else. Oh, she had arthritis in her hands. She had breast cancer. And she had a staph infection in her arm, so her arm was all messed up. And then I was like, she was telling this story at this group setting thing. Then afterwards, I came up to her and I was taking notes because I was trying to debunk the thing. I couldn't believe that this place could even do anything because I'm very pessimistic. I want to know things. And she's like, I said, well, how are you doing now? She's like, oh, I'm fine now, honey. She goes, that was years ago I healed myself. She goes, my breast cancer's gone, the staph infection's gone, and I'm back to knitting. And I was like, whoa. I go, that was all what you learned here? And she's like, yeah. And I go, well, what are you doing back here then if you're fine? She's like, well, I have a friend that's got breast cancer and I drug her here kicking and screaming because I'm not going to lose her. She's like my best friend of my life. These were the stories, of the people that I talked to that were either had healed themselves or they're going through the healing process. And it's not like everybody makes it, right? But a large percentage of people do. And it's for those that make a decision that they're going to live and they're going to, by July 2025, I will be cancer free. When people make that kind of an ironclad commitment to themselves and they start making their health a priority, the universe kind of realigns itself. And I've seen this happen in my practice as a health coach now for the last 9 years, but 12 years in the lifestyle, watching people over and over and over and over and over again heal themselves of things that even I didn't think they were going to make it. Some of them do, so anyway, so I heal myself in 60 days when I come back, all that stuff. The skin issues were all gone on my elbows and my shoulder, literally in 60 days, gone. Cool. And I couldn't believe it. And 8 months later, that huge patch of eczema, because it was been there for years, it finally healed itself up. And I could see my ribs again. I felt good. I started wearing smalls and medium shirts instead of larges and extra larges. And I got my mental clarity back, and I wasn't pooping blood anymore.
Oh,
and my acid reflux was gone day one. So I had a total transformation. And my friend, the best part of this story is 2.5 years later, Charles is completely cancer-free. He got to watch his son graduate high school, went to father-son weekend at Oregon State University, picked up the guitar, went from bankruptcy, got divorced to new lady, happy. He's playing guitar. We all started playing guitar together, kind of fun thing. And he started running marathons, and I ran the first marathon with him in 2012, the Portland Marathon. And when we crossed that finish line, man, that was the epic moment. He was 6 months still, wasn't technically cancer-free yet. The people couldn't even believe that he was running. They're like, he should be home resting. Because we ran with the Lymphoma Leukemia Society's team in training, where we raised money for the cancer people. But Charles was actually the only one that we knew of that actually had the cancer that was actually running. Yeah. It was usually people were running that would never run to raise money for their friend.
Yes,
and the Lymphoma Leukemia Society is actually a pretty good organization. They help you with doctor money and transportation, stuff. I really like them. And they would help us train for the marathon. But when we crossed that marathon threshold, I knew it was a done deal. It was like, this was the epic moment. Like, it was very emotional for me, just thinking about it. I know this is the happy podcast, but
no, this qualifies because that's how happiness comes about. It comes about through tragedy leading to joy.
Yeah. And I mean, I was freaking exhausted after running that marathon. Yeah. I went home and I usually am helping the family. I'm like, bring me stuff. I ain't moving. So we did that, but we finished that marathon together. I ran right next to him by his side, and I knew that he was going to heal, and he did. And he's still alive today. It's 12 years later. He's still my buddy. We hang out, and it was really good. His son became a real estate agent, sold Charles's house, and that was really cool. And since then, I got so inspired about this stuff. I couldn't believe that, like, I could feel so good. Like, I couldn't believe that I could get my energy back that much and lose the weight and feel that awesome and watch my friend heal cancer right in front of my face. Like, all the stuff that I was told, my whole belief system got flipped on its head. And I have a whole different belief system now than when I lived in fear because I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the practical first person experience where I was like, had my hands in the dirt or hand in the lifestyle. I didn't know any of this stuff. The beginning was at Hippocrates Wellness Center. Then I took it home. And I just kept taking it to the next level, asking questions, questioning everything, reading labels, ingredients on food and drinks, and started actually taking 20, 40 people at a time to grocery stores and walking these mobs of people through and showing them how to shop. That's how it all began. I started teaching classes at my home. We actually had 5,500 people to our home for these detox, nutrition, living food, juicing dinner classes. So we'd make juice for them, make dinner, and then at the end it was so much work, I finally realized have them do the work. So
hey, there you go.
The last couple of years I figured it out and I had them make, it was good because they'd actually get their hands in the salad and do it themselves. And it was more fun because I wasn't killing myself, literally. And, but more than half of these people all had cancer because of Charles's story and his recovery. And so these people just kept flooding, literally flooding to my house. So we actually had to do scheduled nights we'll start off on Wednesdays and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then I'd also speak on the weekends. I was nonstop talking about this stuff, and I didn't make a dime at it for years. I was actually, I was growing sprouts, and I'd show these people sprouts, and I told them this is the most cheapest medicine on the planet. Like sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts and wheatgrass are 30 times more nutritious than fresh picked vegetables. Not just 30%, 30 times. And we're talking the most nutritious vegetables on the planet, like sweet potato greens and mustard greens and kale, things that would be grown in the most rich, nutritious soil on the planet. The highest veggies, 10 to 30 times more nutritious than that. These sprouts, these are cheap medicine. I mean, Oregon State University is counted, I think it was back 2012, 2011, they'd counted like 70,000 plant chemicals or phytochemicals or phytonutrients that have the ability to prevent and reverse disease they found in wheatgrass. And a couple years later, they were up to 74,000 and still counting. These plants could have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of these phytochemicals or nutrients that have the ability to prevent and reverse disease. And they're in the plants. So I started growing these plants, and I knew how to do it because we had a farm and a garden, big old garden. And so before too long, with all these cancer patients coming over, they said, will you grow it for me? I'm too wiped out from chemo and stuff like that. And me being the wanting help, I'm like, yep. I couldn't say no to them. So before too long, my garage had turned into this huge growing facility. and we were growing the sprouts and delivering huge trays of 17 by 17 inch trays of sprouts to 40 to 60 cancer patients a week.
Wow.
It was kind of insane. I had to hire another guy because I'd get up at like 4 a.m. and tend to all these plants and get them ready, load them in my big pickup truck with a canopy. And I was driving around to people's houses, and then I'd have to be at my 8 a.m. team meeting in Vancouver, which is almost 45 minutes away from my home. And it was crazy. So I finally got drop spots. We got chiropractors and doctors and people like that, and herbal clinics where we we'd just drop them, and then clients would come in and pick up in that area. Right.
Okay.
So that was because traffic sucks in Portland. It's terrible, and it gets worse every year.
I've been there. I know exactly what you mean. You're right.
It was horrible. I love being back home in Eastern Oregon now. The speed limit is 25, and you can get anywhere in town in 5 minutes. So that was my story. So I did that, and then after that, my little brother actually got killed in a mountain biking accident.
Oh.
I will never forget. I was standing. See, I grew up an only child. I was adopted. When I was 21, I met my biological mom, my sister, who was 18, and my brother, Troy, who was 15. And him and I, we bonded. We were so happy to have a brother. I mean, I have my friends that I consider my brothers, but like a real blood brother,
right.
Even though we're half brothers. It was just, and he farmed, and he was like hunting and stuff, and it was like, we're like kindred spirits, and it was a magical deal, and we had plans to have a farm in Hawaii and do all this other stuff, and he had 2 little girls, very young, and a bun in the oven, and he broke his neck mountain biking and died. Ugh. And that was I didn't have the spiritual skill set back then, so, it wasn't like I was punching walls, but I was not happy. And I remember I was upstairs in my house over in Tigard, Oregon, and I remember just saying, Troy, what do you want me to do? And I just throw my hands up there and scream at the top of my lungs. My wife probably thought I was crazy from time to time, because I'd have these outbursts. And I heard him say this one time. He goes, do what you love and do it now. And I heard him say it. So nice. I picked up my phone, and I called my mentor in the financial services industry, and I was getting groomed to basically buy out his business and take over and send him checks for a long time. He had a very large business. My friends thought I'd done a really smart thing by partnering up with this guy, because he was netting $2.4 million a year. It's 3 locations, 18 employees, and I was going to take over the whole thing. And I said, Jeff, I'm out. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm getting out of the financial services business. He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, we have all this stuff we're going to do. I said, dude, I can't do it. I said, my little brother died, and I'm not going to go out not doing what I love. And I'm like, I like helping people with their money, but I'd rather talk to people about sprouts, and I want people to feel good like me. And there's so many people out there that are suffering, and they don't have this information that I had. And I said, I think I can crack through that barrier and make it understandable for people. I know I can help people. I have to leave. So I didn't just drop my clients because they were counting on me. So I had to go and have all these meetings where I had in-person meetings with my clients and Jeff, and basically hand off the baton, because he was the one teaching me. And I go, you're actually in better hands, right? So, but so I did that. And then from June to October, I transitioned out of there. And then I didn't even know what I was going to do. He's like, how are you going to make a living? I'm like, I have no idea, but I'll figure it out. And so I just started coaching people for free. And then eventually, we built a company called chemicalfreebody.com. And now I've got doctors and nurses coaching underneath me. And, we have doctor formulated detox and nutrition products. We've been shipping them all over the world. I lead a group coaching call, which I'll lead here in about an hour and 24 minutes. I do that every Wednesday where people come in. Live Q&A. I do a topic. You get your questions answered. So more people can get interaction with me. And we do private one-on-one coaching. We're actually building something called Lifestyle Reset University, which is a digital course right now. It's not ready yet, but it will be soon. So that people that can't afford the private one-on-one coaching will have something where they get something very close for a fraction of the price. And then I also have my podcast where that's free information called The Health Hero Show. And, it's not even work, Walt. This isn't like, this is fun. Like,
it's the best kind.
It's fun. Some of the stuff, the technical stuff and ordering things and supply chain delays, that's not fun.
Yeah.
But, just having these products available because I know most people don't even realize it. Like 92% of the supplements on the market got synthetics in them,
Yeah.
Or they're a mixture, or even if they are a good herbal based formula, they've got other ingredients like magnesium stearate or silicon dioxide or dicalcium phosphate, things that are toxic that are in there. And I've helped probably another, dozen supplement owners get their products cleaned up. So that's another one of my missions is kind of clean up the supplement industry. But anyway, that's kind of what we do now. It's what I do. And, like I said, it's a lot of fun. I'm really happy every day when I wake up. I wake up and I feel good. And I just turned 50 a few days ago and
happy birthday.
I was rock climbing with my 20-year-old son. Then we ran barefoot sprints in the grass after that. We're doing, I'm almost to a point where I can do one of those muscle ups, where you actually do a pull up, but all the way up.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of stuff. I teach yoga. I became a raw food chef. I've completely went from redneck, ego-based, chewing tobacco, beer drinking, to yoga instructor, relax the nervous system, living foods, coaching people, loving on people, spiritual path, that kind of stuff, and really being a steward of the soil. So I'm really kind of getting into that now. We're going to be doing stuff with water and stuff with the soil and helping the farmers get to the root of the problem, which is our soil.
Wow. Dramatic story. Fabulous story. And like I said earlier, we hear stories like that a lot in terms of, what I described before, the basic formula, but that's one of the better ones I've ever heard. I mean, really, that's a dramatic turnaround that you made personally, that you helped other people to make, and that I love how you love it. I mean, to me, that's the best part of the story right there. You love it. You followed your friend's advice. Yeah.
It's, I can't imagine like doing anything else right now. And it was, the thing that was very interesting in the beginning was like, I didn't believe in myself. Cause I was questioning myself all the time. Like, who are you? How can you help people with their health? Mm-hmm. And then I remember listening to some guy and he's like, go ask people the best one word or two words or three words that describes you. This is after I'd had a couple thousand people do these classes and, all this stuff. And I started going around asking people and they started saying stuff like healer. I heard healer over and over again. And that didn't even resonate with me at all. Healer. They would say stuff, that was the number one. I can't remember the other ones, but I didn't even like resonate like with that at all.
Why do you think it's pretty easy for me to kind of diagnose, well, that's what it meant. But from your perspective, why do you think that was that you didn't resonate that way?
Well, I think, limiting beliefs. I think human beings on this planet, we are the masters of limitation. And I do know that 74% of people are going to work just for a paycheck. They don't really like what they're doing. That's true. Sad. Like, it's sad. So I'm really about that. I really want to bring that awareness to that. And anybody listening today, if you're in a job that you don't like, but you feel stuck because you have a mortgage or whatever, there is a way out. It's called your excitement and your joy. And you can find a way.
But I want to get back to my question because my question really does get to the core, I think, because you said yourself, you didn't think of yourself as a healer. You didn't resonate to that term, even though everybody was calling you that. Why do you think you didn't resonate to it?
Well, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, I have an idea because right now I know that like I don't heal anybody and I know I can't do that. Ooh. All I do is provide the inspiration. I hand out permission slips by me changing myself, like me being healthy. Like my skin's freaking awesome now. And when I was younger, nobody made comments on my skin. But for the last 12 years I've been on this process, I've had many women who go, wow, your skin's amazing. And the first 2 years, it made my skin crawl when they would say that. It felt uncomfortable. Like, what are you talking about? Because my ego was kicking in. I'm a tough guy. Don't tell me my skin's beautiful. And I'm like, yes, I have beautiful skin. Why wouldn't I? Because I took care of my digestive tract. I learned how it works. I learned about my intestinal villi. And I've kept that environment for them very amazing. And so if your gut health is good, your skin health is good because the gut's the inside skin, right? So I've learned these things, but I cannot heal anybody. But from their perspective, that's what they saw. So I understand. I understand that. So it was more of their perspective mixing up with what I had, but in my mind. But the reality was that I had made some major changes in my life. And what I've realized also was that you only have to be about a chapter ahead of somebody else to be able to help them.
True.
I mean, look at the Catch Me If You Can guy. Remember that? He said you only got to be one chapter ahead.
Yep. I remember that. It was a good movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie.
Yeah,
really
right.
Good. He'd study something and go in and pretend like he's a professor. And he's like, how did you teach that whole course? He's like, I just read a chapter ahead.
Read a chapter.
They didn't know. And, I've just completely immersed myself in this stuff. Like I can't get enough of it. It's so fun to me to learn something and improve on something. And, so I can look younger, feel younger, and then share it with people. Like my lifestyle, we are literally taking what I've learned in my lifestyle and we've built an entire business around it, like an enterprise. I've got probably 15 people now on staff or contracted, and we're growing exponentially. People are flooding into our business now because of word of mouth and the podcasting. And it's awesome. Like I sometimes I sit back and I'm like, I can't believe it, but now I'm getting, of course, because the working class is suffering. And they're looking for real solutions. And so, I can just show them what I did. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't do it. It's just that simple. I always tell people, maybe I'm lying to you, but get blood tests. Get some blood tests and then follow us for 90 to 180 days. Go get your blood test again. See if your blood doesn't improve. The blood will never lie.
Yeah.
Right. But usually people that work with us in full capacity in 6 months feel 10 years younger, and they literally look 5 years younger. And this isn't like some magical stuff. You are most people are disconnected from nature, and they forget that we are nature. I mean, your body's mostly water, right? Where do you find
I have to ask, I've been thinking about this. This is kind of a smart ass question the way I'm going to ask it, but it fits into what you're talking about right here, because your website is Chemical Free Body, but correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't everything in our body a chemical?
Yes, but I'm talking about man-made chemicals. So
I kind of figured.
Read through the lines. So I actually had a guy come up to him and he was literally smart ass. And he's like, everything's a chemical. We were a thing. And I was like, dude, we're talking about man-made chemicals, but manmadechemicalfreebody.com. It was already long enough URL, bro.
Yeah, I hear you. I just had to yank your chain on that
one. It totally is. But we went natural. We went nature's. We went Mother Earth's chemicals, right?
Right.
So if you look at just as an example, this is how profound and powerful our whole experience here as a human. The bone structure is made out of what? Minerals. Where do you find that? It's in the soil, right? Mm-hmm. What else do you find in the soil? Microbiome. Just like we have our gut microbiome, there's the soil microbiome, and they're the same ones.
Yeah,
a lot of the same ones that are in the soil are in our gut. We are nature, and if you look at our and like I said, water. Our body's mostly made of water. You find that in rivers, creeks, and ponds. So we are literally Mother Earth, like literally. Now we have a soul, and that's coming in from God and all that. But this physical body is made of this earth. We are directly connected to earth, no different than an oak tree or a pine tree or an ant or a butterfly. We are from the earth, and when we die, our bodies go back in and recycle. That's just part of the natural cycle of life. And the earth is connected to the solar system. Pretty cool. The solar system is connected to the galaxies.
Yeah. And
then the galaxy is connected to the universe, and now the multiverse. So think about it. The power of the universe is literally locked inside of us.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to do and accomplish. Like, I am a perfect representative of that, complete redneck, ego-based society, eating the wrong stuff, doing all this stuff. And to do what I'm doing now, I'm kind of an oddity. Like like I can, when I speak
All right,
to people, like especially what I love is because I actually found my spiritual path through getting healthy, because as I tuned up my radio, my television, my receptor to God, I actually looked up and I was like, there's something more. I don't know what it is, but I feel it. This was 2011 when I began this journey. It wasn't until 2018 before the spiritual path finally hit the road. And since then, the last 5 years, I've been on a rocket ship. Now, to me, that's the most important thing. I just found that through improved health. And what I've noticed is like, you're suffering your relationship, you're suffering in your jobs, you're suffering with, whatever it is in your life, even finances. You take your health and you get your health better, it lifts all boats. Everything gets better.
It makes total sense.
We've actually seen a 21% increase with people's incomes that are commission-based, their own companies, when we coach them on their health, and we don't even talk about money. We actually went back and did a study, and we found that 21% increase in income on their health, in their incomes when they worked on health. Of course it does, because it's connected to you. Your money's connected to you, your body, your energy, your vitality. Your relationships are connected to you, your body, your energy, your vitality, your spiritual path. Everything is connected to this body. You lift up the sea of the body and the health, all boats rise. That's how it works. And we've seen this over and over and over again. And we've actually helped many people break out of these careers that they didn't like by giving them the energy in their body and the inspiration to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely a pattern that has played out here on the show as well, in that over and over again, guest after guest, no matter what their field is, no matter what their topic is, they all find that their particular perspective has led them into a larger perspective that says exactly what you just said. Everything is connected. It's all based on that which we are and how we connect to that, which is everywhere. And it's amazing how often that theme comes out. I mean, people express it differently. They say it differently. They may have different belief systems about how the spirituality of it works, but it all aligns to the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your frame of reference is. It doesn't matter what your line of work is. It doesn't matter what your career is. It doesn't matter. It still keeps playing out the same way over and over and over again.
Your podcast, the show, the LOA today, law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
that's
this is something about a year ago, and if I may share this, it was really interesting to me. It was very exciting, right?
Sure.
So I totally believe the law of attraction. I heard it in a different way, though, that really resonated with me.
Okay.
What I heard is that everything that you want to create or do or be is already a done deal. Mm-hmm. It's already happened. So it's not like you have to necessarily attract it. You have to just change your vibrational frequency and vibrate into that which is already there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I don't have to go out and create all this stuff and do this stuff. I've already kind of done it in other time-space realities. My job now is to raise my vibrational frequency and just vibe into it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that seems like a little bit easier job for me, right? But it's still, you still have to take action, right? Because the universe, what you put out is what you put back. That's a universal law. And do that stuff. But that was kind of my spin on law of attraction, was it's not necessarily attracting, but it's raising the vibrational frequency to get over there. So it's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's cool. And I've heard that one before, actually, in a number of different contexts. I think the teacher that comes to mind who expressed that the best was Neville Goddard. That was pretty much the way he thought about this kind of thing. And I love it in that, first of all, it works for so many people. That, you just described it. It felt right for you. It felt natural for you. Yeah. And that definitely plays out for so many people. I think really what it comes down to is whatever way you decide you want to look at, just make sure it's the one that resonates. If you do, it's going to work. Yeah.
And we really need everybody. Well, not necessarily everybody, but it would be great. But if 1/2 of the 1% of the population starts living this way, that will be enough permission slips for the masses to come in and live this way. Could you imagine what it's going to be like when everybody is doing what they love? Like literally?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
can actually make an argument here. I can actually make an argument here. And I'll be interested to see what your take is on this. I can make the argument that they're already doing what they love. They just haven't convinced themselves to really do what they love. And the reason I say that is we live in this world. We often describe this as a world of polarity or contrast, right? Or duality, or however you want to express it. And we come into this world deliberately. We chose to be here. Sometimes I question our judgment, but nevertheless, we're here. We came here to this world of polarity. And so as a result, we're always going to be experiencing polarity. And that's part of the reason we came. It's okay to experience stuff that we don't like. It's okay to experience things that rub us the wrong way and so forth. That's often where we do our best learning. I think what we're really going to be developing over the next few generations, maybe in the next few years, is more and more people recognizing that not only is that true, but also they can find joy in it regardless of whether they are currently at one particular moment in time in a place where they don't like to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you're referring to, what resonates with me on that is that no matter what happens around you, you choose how you respond to it, and you only get the benefit for you out of it. No matter, even if somebody has a bad intention towards you, so-called, you only find the good in it because that's how you start responding to life. And when you do that, that's when life becomes like literally an ecstatic explosion of joy and synchronicity. The more you do this.
Yes. No doubt about that.
Because you dig and you find, where's the good? Somebody could be yelling at you. It's like, there's some good there.
Exactly.
Another
and
thing
that's
that
the
I've learned, another thing I've learned, the biggest challenge is usually parents and family going back into spaces like that. That's where your spiritual rubber really meets the road. But, when people are doing stuff like that towards you that might be considered AKA negative, that's where the compassion card has been very big for me. Mm-hmm. Like, they're yelling or they're saying this, they're spewing this crap out. It's like, wow, man, they must be really hurting inside to do that. And me not taking it personal at all, because it ain't me. That's their crap. That's their baggage. They're trying to throw over to me for me to carry around to make them feel better about their situation. It's like, I ain't picking it up.
Yeah, well, you're taking it actually beyond compassion. You're taking it into appreciation. You're appreciating where they're at and why they're at there. Even though that's not a place you would choose to be at necessarily, you can appreciate why they're there.
Yeah. And it's a valid choice for them. They have every right to do and be and do whatever they want to do. Exactly. So I respect that. I give them compassion. And what was the word you used? Appreciation. Yeah. I appreciate them for going through that process of learning, creating that contrast in their life so they can know more of what they do want, more of what they don't want. So I look at them like bumpers, like on bowling. Right. Like the stuff that you like keeps you, you keep moving more. Mm-hmm. Or I guess the stuff that you like would be the pins. And then the stuff that you don't like, the bumpers, you kind of just stay away from that because it's like, I don't like that. And so it's very valid and it's very poignant and it's like you're learning from it. It's like, wow, I just got out of that relationship and I am never going to do that again with this. I'm going to make sure that person I'm with next time doesn't have that, or it's like, wow, I'm never going to eat that food again because man, I had gas for 2 days, So you learn from these things and then you just don't repeat it unless you want more pain, I guess.
Now, speaking of the food, I do want to get back to something because we've done almost 2,000 episodes here of the show. And yet in those 2,000 or so episodes, I don't think we've ever talked about sprouts. And you're really the first one who's come on here with knowledge of sprouts and so forth. So let's dive a little bit deep into that.
Sure.
Talk to us a bit about, first of all, why sprouts are important. Right? We got the idea, 10 to 30 times more vitamins and all that kind of stuff. But talk more about where you think about sprouts these days as opposed to where you were, before you went on this whole journey.
Well, it's just like the sun rising. Sprouts are in my life. And you think about like the Serengeti when the spring rains hit, right? What comes out first? The fresh grass, the fresh greens, then the plants come up, and then the animals follow behind that. And these animals are tough and they're big and they're putting tons of muscles on, like hippos and rhinos and giraffes and wildebeest. And, these animals they follow that fresh tender, the most nutritious foods, right? Are sprouts. Imagine just in an almond or a walnut, that one seed, that one nut can grow into a tree that can produce tens of thousands of nuts and tens of thousands of more trees.
Right.
It's actually quite amazing. And when you take that, and I'm telling the people listening here today, unequivocally, when you take an almond, a raw almond and eat it, or a raw walnut and eat it, unfortunately, if you have a cooked one, that's not really good because you just turn the oils inside of it to a lipid peroxide, which is a known carcinogen or cancer causer. That's, what do they call it? It's cooked nuts, like, what do they call it? Roasted nuts.
Right,
I used to eat tons of them when I was a kid, roasted peanuts. They're lipid peroxides. Peanuts also have an aflatoxin in them. I go off on these tangents, dude.
That's right.
But if
we go on tangents all the time. This is I call it your daily dose of happy, but I could call it the nearest rabbit hole, because literally that's where we spend most of our time.
Yeah. Tangent University.
That's right.
Okay. So you take a walnut and you soak it in water for 8 to 12 hours. It's going to release its natural insecticides or protectants, its natural poison to keep the last bug from eating it. So it will continue on producing and continue on with its, evolution. And then also enzymes get activated just by soaking it in water. Not only the toxins and poisons gone, you'll see them wash off brown stuff like that when you're soaking seeds, brown, yellows, and different colors. But it's also on average 8 times more digestible. And how many people have digestive tract issues today? Almost everybody at some level.
Sure.
8 times more digestible. And listen, hold your hat on this one. You got to go find a hat though, because you don't got one.
Give me a moment. No, I'll be right back.
They're 100 to 800% more nutritious when they're sprouted. So from a time management standpoint, from an entrepreneur standpoint, for me, I'm like, I have to do this. I have to soak my nuts. And so I literally have the URL.
That almost sounds obscene. Good God.
I have t-shirts. I have t-shirts that say "Real Men Soak Their Nuts," and I own realmensoaktheirnuts.com. I have not made it into a site yet, but I will someday in the future.
I love it though.
I swear to God, I have ingredients matter on my shirt right now, but they do. But soaking your nuts is important. Nuts, seeds, grains, and beans, they should all be soaked in water first for all the reasons I just told you. Okay, so sprouts, now we're talking, anything that's any nut, seed, grain, or bean that's soaked in water is AKA a sprout. It is now sprouted, it's activated, it's alive, the life force is there, electron activity is there, and when you eat that living food, you're actually going to transfer electrons into your electric body, beginning through the teeth, actually. So when you look at the sun, all life comes from the sun. It rains down light called photons. We call them biophotons, actually coined by a Dr. Fitz Popp out of Germany. And those photons are captured on the leaf of a plant via photosynthesis. And this is where the electrons are made. And this is where hormones and oxygen and phytochemicals and enzymes, all these things. But the electron activity, when you pick a living food, you're literally transferring electrons through the teeth into the bone structure of the body and charging your body and charging every cell. So let me give you an example. This has been tested. This isn't BS. This isn't woo-woo. They've taken people and put them on an all junk food diet and measured their biophoton energy. They emitted about 1,000 biophotons. Then they took somebody that added 100% organic but 100% cooked food diet. Those people emitted 23,000 biophotons. Newborn children emit 43,000 biophotons. Somebody who eats all sprouts or all sprouted nuts, seeds, grains, and beans, all 100%, emits 83,000 biophotons.
Wow.
So what's the big deal? When you can increase the electron activity in your body, like you literally, your cells won't age. They will replicate more clearly, reprint themselves, and it fights off disease. It literally builds up a shield because these enzymes are there too, and it creates like a shield around your cells, protecting you from free radical damage, which is the causative factor of all aging and premature death. So, are they a big deal? Yeah, they're a huge deal, and I know most people aren't eating any of them. I know most people my age, I'm 50, probably like, oh yeah, I like sprouts. I used to like them on my hoagie. And they were good until they badmouthed them and said, oh, E. coli and salmonella is going to kill you if you eat sprouts. Because they're trying to, I'm telling you, this is the most powerful medicine for pennies. You can grow these on your countertop. So I have an episode on my show called How to Increase Your Nutrition Up to 800% Through Sprouting. And it's very important that people do this because you can do it in your home, get your kids involved. They love it. And you can start growing your own food, start small, and then just work your way up. And then I'll give you an example. When you go to the Hippocrates Wellness Center, if you choose to do that someday, everything's sprouted. At least, so they say at least 50% of your food by weight needs to be living food, sprouted foods.
Okay.
And this is why they're having so much success with people, is because they're flooding their body with electrons, basically, and all these phytochemicals that have the ability to prevent and reverse disease. Now, if you take a plant like they did down at the University of Berkeley in California. They took, I think it was a head of lettuce or cabbage, and they tested the enzyme activity, which is also electron activity. They harvested it, and then like 32 minutes later, they tested the enzymes activity again. How much enzymes activity you think dropped in 32 minutes?
Oh, God.
It's 50%.
No idea.
It's 50%.
50%? Is it?
50%.
Okay.
So imagine a farmer, even if they did great soil and they did permaculture and they didn't spray it with chemicals, they did a good job. They harvest that head of lettuce. They put it in a truck, put it in a storage deal for a day or two. Then it goes on a truck for 1,500 to 2,500 miles to your local grocery store. The next day you pick it up, you put it in your fridge, and a day or two later, maybe that day you eat it. So it could take a week to 2 weeks before you actually eat that thing. Is there any enzymes in that left? No, they're not. They're gone. Mm-hmm. They're gone. The hormones are gone. The oxygen's gone. A lot of the phytochemicals drop, and the enzymes are completely gone. And if you cook that food, toast. You just toasted all that stuff. This is the thing that blew my mind, because I grew up pretty much on the all-cooked diet, except for we picked peas and raspberries and strawberries. We had fresh corn. We had all kinds of fresh stuff. We'd go morel season, just wrapping up here. Elderberries, huckleberries. I love all that stuff, right? Everybody eats an apple. Okay, you eat an apple, you're eating raw food. But think about this, Walt. Every single living creature on this planet eats a 100% raw and living food diet. We're the only creatures that cook our food. And the only creatures on this planet that have the level of sickness and disease is us. That we do is us and the animals we've domesticated. We're killing our food.
I got to raise a question here. I mean, I love what you're saying. Don't get me wrong, but I got to raise this question anyway. If so many humans are eating in such a way that is so bad for them, how do we survive at all?
Well, we do survive, but we're not thriving. And what's happening?
No, I know we're not thriving, and I'm not going to argue about that. I know for sure that's true.
Here's the deal.
But how do we actually survive? How can we actually be living even more than a year?
Well, the human body is quite extraordinary. Your immune system it's better than the best supercomputer by a bazillion. Like it's nature, right? In a laboratory, they cannot create an apple from scratch, nor can they create you from scratch.
Right.
That's a God level thing, right? So until that happens, we better just stick with nature. Your body is bobbing and weaving with your immune system, trying to keep you alive. And what's happening is people are actually dying younger. The statistics are out. It's out there right now. I've seen charts where we're looking at life expectancy charts from 1980 till 1984. We were keeping pace with all the industrialized nations as our life expectancy was increasing. In 1984, it started going sideways for the U.S. 2014 started going down, which means we started dying younger. Our children and grandchildren will die younger than us, and now it's on a steep downward trend compared to these other industrialized nations. And usually the other industrialized nations have a 5, 10, 15-year lag time. So it's coming to a city near you. It's stress. Here's what I've delineated. We're stressed out. You cannot heal when your when your nervous system is stressed out. You're creating too much cortisol. Your adrenals are blown out. That's stress. Number 2, toxic buildup in your body. The umbilical cord studies show this. If you type in these 3 words when you're done listening to this podcast, umbilical cord chemical, you will see the same studies I saw going back to 2005 that show that every single child being born, they test the umbilical cord blood. They look for 400 chemicals. They find 250 of what they're looking for, 71%, and 180 cause cancer in humans. Think about that. The youngest people, supposedly the healthiest of all of us, young women and men that are procreating these babies, and the babies themselves are born with cancer-causing chemicals in them. Now, we see this is babies are now being born overweight, obese, babies are born with type 2 diabetes, and babies are now being born with cancer. So the second big one is pollution. And the bottom line is they're only testing the blood, the blood serum. The fat and muscle tissues have 500 to 1,000% more toxic chemicals that they're actually finding in the blood. So we are polluted. And when I found this out, Walt, I'm like, this is how basically Chemical-Free Body got born, because I'm going to point out these microscopic little toxins that are in your blood. And the older you are, the more time you've had to bioaccumulate them in your fat and your muscle tissue in your blood. It's like a big white elephant made out of a whole bunch of toxins, and it's in your body. Everybody listening has this problem, and I knew that it was me too, and I had to bring awareness to this. So number 1, stress. our nervous system. Number 2 is the pollution, and number 3 is the nutrients. Biodynamic, thick, dark, rich soil with full of bacterium and mycelium, growing great fresh food and eating that, the real nutrition. And when people learn how to calm their nervous system, this is what we teach, detox on the daily basis, clean up their digestive tract, their liver, their blood, their fat, their muscle tissue, all the cells, the brain, and flood the body with nature, replug back into Mother Earth, which is your battery pack, amazing things happen. And then you start feeling better. And we're not doctors. We don't make claims. This is the lifestyle we lead. We just show people this is what we've done. And we've created a few products for this, and we have other products at other companies we recommend. But a lot of it's just like stuff you can do at home that doesn't really cost anything.
Well, that also raises another question, which is if you do want to start something like that at home, I mean, the average person is hearing, okay, well, I guess I have to start a culture somehow about, sprouting a walnut, but I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. And he's talking about this really thick, rich soil. I'm not sure where I get that from. I mean, I can just see all of the you talk about limiting beliefs. I mean, the limiting beliefs start to kick in instantly. How do we get past those limiting beliefs and actually get to work doing this thing?
Yeah. Well, we actually created when people go to our website at chemicalfreebody.com, if they start hunting around a little bit, a little pop-up thing pops up, and then you get 3 free gifts. One of the gifts is our Core 4 Secrets ebook. There's 4 core secrets that we teach there that literally don't cost you anything. The first one is about getting your water right and drinking adequate amounts. So you could have to invest some money in cleaning up your water, which we have kind of that lick now, which will be coming out soon. But the other stuff it doesn't cost anything. These are things you can do that are profoundly going to change your life. Profoundly going to change your life. They're baby steps. And then you get more energy, you start feeling better, you go to the next thing. And we have products. We have toxin detox and gut detox formula and our greens. So these are things people can get in, like we have a bundle called the Super Detox Bundle. We start them off on that or one of the other bundles. And then they can do this literally in 2 to 3 minutes a day. Get the mental clarity, the energy back, start losing a couple pounds, they start feeling better, and then maybe they want to sprout. And if you're going to sprout, start with things that are simple, like lentils and mung beans. Red lentils, French lentils, green lentils, mung beans. Those are ready in 2.5 days on your countertop. They require 0 soil. You can do them in glass or even plastic jars if you want to, but I prefer glass. And on my podcast, I teach people how to do it. Sprouting is not that difficult. The key is getting good seeds and then soaking them once, and then letting them drain very well because they need to breathe too. It's not just about all the water. It's letting them drain well. And in 2.5 days, you'll have foods that are 10 to 30 times more nutritious than anything you could possibly imagine. Unbelievable stuff, dude. You can grow your own medicine in your house. Start with 1 sprout, get going good at it, add another one the next time you order seeds, add another one, and slowly over the next 2 years, you'll end up like me and you'll have sprouts growing out your ears.
All right. Well, I love the idea of listeners sprouting from their ears because that's more reason for them to actually be listening to a podcast. So I'm just going to go with that for a bit. But, yeah. And as usual, like we're blowing through this hour. That normally happens whenever we're having a good time here. So that's a good sign because we blew through the hour, but it's a bad sign because we actually haven't learned a whole lot yet. We've learned a little bit. There's the website and so forth, but we need to know, like, how do people reach out to you? How do they find the products? How do they find out about the coaching? We got to find all that stuff. How do people find this stuff?
Okay. So yeah, it's just real simple. Go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. And I'll tell you what, I'll show your listeners how to get a double discount. So when you go there, hover over the shop tab down to bundle specials or special bundles or whatever, and then pick a bundle. Those are discounted. Okay.
Oh.
We have like a jumpstart bundle for people that want to stick their toes in the water. We have the total energy and detox bundle, which is what I do on the monthly basis for those people that want to go all in, or just pick something that resonates with you or it fits your budget. Pick one of those bundles, and then at checkout, put in the code LOA and you get an additional 5% off. So LOA gets you an additional 5% off thanks to Walt. So you get a double discount. And I believe in my formulator, Dr. Scott Treadway, who, by the way, he just passed away a couple weeks ago. He was one of my mentors. But he was a former Marine, but he also was a doctor in Ayurvedic system science. He was a master herbalist in Chinese herbology and Western herbology as well. He formulated all of our products, and I know they work for 98% of people up the middle. So we have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products.
Wow.
Because I know they're going to work for people. I just want people to try them. We even give you that Core 4 Secrets manual for free. We give you a free 30-minute health strategy session with myself or one of our coaches, and we give you a free $10 gift card just for stopping by and, get your contact information. We'll send you all those gifts. Then you go to the website, take the $10 gift card and get your double discount and at least get started. And if stuff doesn't work, call us or send us an email to support@chemicalfreebody.com. Get on the phone with myself or one of the coaches. We'll help you. If one of our products doesn't work, so we'll just happily refund your money, put you on another one, or even direct you to a different company because we know how to read labels and most people that come to us don't. So we want to teach you that. We want to teach you how to fish. But in the meantime, we'll help you get going, incubate you, and people can go at whatever level. I mean, you can get the products or you can do nothing. That's an option. It's a viable option. You can stay where you're at. You can get the products, do it on your own. You can get the products and join our group coaching community that I lead every week where I answer live questions. And my coaches come on there too from time to time. Or you can, hire our coaches and, have somebody walk you through a 6-month program to completely transform yourself.
All right. Well, we're actually at the hour mark, but I want to go a little bit further because when you mentioned the coaches, this is something that comes up a lot. We've had lots of coaches on here, as you can imagine, over the years, hundreds of different, lines of work and fields and so forth. But one thing that comes up over and over again when I talk to coaches, I'm sure I'm going to get a similar answer from you, is how valuable coaching is and how people really need to take advantage of it. That we have this tendency to want to try to solve all of our problems ourselves, and we're basically working with our hands tied behind our back when we do it without a coach. Yeah. So I want you to talk about why is it so important to use your coaching for people who are trying to improve their health in this way?
Yeah. Well, it's not like you can't figure things out yourself. It just might take forever. Right? So if you've been bumbling along and usually the people that we get most of the time is like, I've tried everything. We get a lot of the I've tried everything people. The bottom line is the best players. I mean, I grew up playing baseball. Tony Gwynn was a good hitter. Wade Boggs was a good hitter, but they had hitting coaches.
They did.
Like Tiger Woods, golfer, like he has a cat and everybody has coaches that are at the top of their game. My singing coach has a singing coach, right? When I was in the mortgage industry, I paid that guy $2,000 a month and he had a coach that was $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And he was more successful than me.
Mm-hmm.
So coaching is what it is. It's going back to what human beings have been doing forever, and it's apprenticeship.
Yes.
It's mentorship.
I love that.
It's getting back to mastery. You find a guru, right? And all guru means is like this dispeller of light. They're shining light on things for you. It's not like they're somebody better than you, but they've got some light. And it's like you go get an apprenticeship. Electricians today still have to do this. You can't just go, okay, I'm an electrician, and go out and burn somebody's house down. That's probably not a good idea. You could make a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to become a journeyman electrician. To do that, you have to side saddle with a journeyman for at least a couple years and get your hours so you know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, plumbers too.
Yeah, with a lot of things. So what having a coach does is smart because you're getting back to apprenticeship and mastery, right? Because you have somebody there. Because I don't care how disciplined you are. I'm a pretty disciplined guy. We are human beings, and at times we drift. And we don't see everything. It's like being maybe you own like a restaurant, right? And there's flies in the window. You miss it because you're there every day, but the guests are like, oh, I'm trying to eat my food and there's a dead fly there. Like you missed it, right? Because you don't have systems in place, or you don't see it. We don't see everything on ourselves. And our coaches are there to lift us up on the days we're down. They're there to give us guidance and accountability. You're really paying for accountability because a lot of times when I have a coach, it's like something I normally wouldn't have done, but I'm like, my coach is going to check in with me next week. I better do it. Right. And then guess what? Who benefits from that? We do. So we're basically assigning, and this goes back to human beings being tribal. There's accountability in a tribe. You're going to do this. You're going to pick that. You're going to grind that. You're going to go find that. You're going to hunt that. And everybody works together like ants. And if one of the people's lazy, the tribe's going to be like, dude, get on it. Or do that. Get your stuff done because we're all counting on you. We're a unit, right? So if you're struggling with your health or your relationships, your spiritual path, that kind of stuff, we pretty much do everything. All of our coaches are, besides coaches, life coaches, we're chefs, movement instructors. We work on the spiritual path, all this stuff. We're kind of all inclusive. I've got some pretty good people too. I've got world champion, Hall of Famer, UFC fighter Pat Miletich. I got Coach Rebecca Wolf, healed herself of bulimia. I've got Dr. Nikki, who is a diabetes specialist. Dr. Sarah Ciso, who actually coached Elle McPherson, still does on her health. Kim Soul, who's like the goddess of like so many things. She's a LMT, a colon hydrotherapist. She's been at this for a long time, longer than I have even. We have nurse Karen Bonascoro, who healed herself literally of stage 4 colon cancer naturally.
Wow.
And both, she's just amazing. She's 30-year RN, now out there loving on people naturally. So these are the types of coaches. Another coach, Lynn, she's in the process of healing herself of breast cancer while taking care of 2 dementia parents. She's amazing. She's amazing. Right. Unbelievable people on our team. So yeah, having a coach is kind of an important thing because we've already kind of been there and done that.
Yeah.
And then I can take, $200,000 of education my whole life, and I can download it to you in basically 6 months. And my coaches all are getting downloads from me, and I'm getting downloads from them, and I have downloads from all my clients. So we literally take this seriously. And like I've only had to do it maybe twice where I've had to fire clients that are not doing the work, but like my reputation's on the line. So it's like, you need to get results, period. Like you have to get results. Otherwise, why are we doing this? So for us, it's not about the money. We charge something so that we can because we value ourselves now. In the beginning, like I said, I didn't charge anything because I didn't even know what I was doing, but now I do. And it's been 12 years and my skin speaks for itself. Right. And also, I've personally coached 600 people through this process. So I've learned so much. I've learned what to do and what not to do. And I'm still learning. I don't know everything. I know I have a lot to learn, and you can join me in this journey and with my coaches, and we can learn together, and you can get your health right, just like we all have.
I love especially the grow or go attitude. Double meaning on grow because you're growing sprouts, but you're also growing yourself, and that the best coaches are the ones who say grow or go. I love that. I love that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Tim, this has been absolutely fabulous. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I know listeners, once they're hearing this, they're going to love this as well. 2 things I need to do. First, I want to thank you for being on the show and for sharing all this great information with us.
My pleasure, Walt.
We'll definitely be pointing people to chemicalfreebody.com in the show notes. But the second thing I want to do is something that I make it a practice to do here on the show, because everybody who comes onto this show has found something that really works for them and they're giving back, and you're doing the exact same thing. And there's an amazing thing that kind of falls through the cracks on this, because you have your podcast, for instance. You have many people listening to your podcast. You do other podcasts like this one. I'm sure you do other kinds of publishing and so forth. You're putting information out there, and very often it's being consumed by people that you'll never meet, you'll never see, you never know what they're doing with it, but you're helping them. And we don't recognize that enough. So on behalf of those people you've never met and you've never seen, I want to thank you for what you've been doing, for those people that you don't even know that you're helping, because you're making such a big difference in this world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.